Kennel Connection 7 training video on entering and managing pet information. In this video, we'll be looking at how to create a pet card and how to enter and track information on that pet card. In the Client Explorer on the left, we'll have a list of clients, and if we click on the plus box next to a client, it will reveal a list of that customer's pets. Double-clicking on a pet or right-clicking on a pet and selecting Open Pet will take us to the pet card. To create a pet in the system, you will first need to have a client card. Then on the client card, you'll want to go to the Pets section. This is where pets are added. Pets can only be added to the Kennel Connection program if there is already a client for that pet. So to enter the pet, we will click Add Pet, and this will open up a pet card. The minimum requirement for a pet card in order to be saved is a pet name. Once we have a pet name entered, we can click Save to save the pet card. We can then close that pet card and open it again later to make additional changes or modifications. On the left-hand side of the pet card, we have basic information for the pet. Below the pet name, we have the breed. The breed can be selected from the lists drop-down, or we can type a breed into the system. If we type a new breed into the breed field, upon saving the pet card, Kennel Connection will ask us if we want to add this breed to the database. If we say yes, it'll take us to the database and allow us to enter additional information for this breed type. You can also just type the first letter of a breed to get to that part on the breeds list, and then you can add it from here by scrolling down. Below the breed, we have the option to choose the sex of the pet and whether it has been spayed or neutered, the pet type, the color of the pet, which can be typed in or selected from the drop-down menu. We have the option to enter a birth date for the pet. Once the birth date is entered, the age will be applied automatically. We can enter a weight for the pet. This is especially important if you're going to be setting up your rates to charge by pet weight. Below that, we can add a vet. Once again, like the breed and color section, we can type a vet name in, type the first letter of a vet, or select the vet from the drop-down menu. If the vet has a phone number saved in the system, it'll apply automatically here. Otherwise, we can add it manually. The barcode field is where you will enter a barcode number for a pet if you're using a barcode scanner to scan pets in to your module. So for example, if you have a daycare service and you're allowing customers to scan their pets in and out of daycare, you would have them scan their barcode key tag or card under the barcode scanner, and with the module open and the scan option selected on the module, scanning the barcode will automatically add that pet to the schedule and check the pet in. Below this basic pet information, we have the basic customer information. And from here, we can click Open Client to open up this pet's owner from the pet card. On the right-hand side, we have at the top the option to add a picture for the pet. To add a picture for the pet, you can either use your webcam. Selecting the webcam option will access your webcam and allow you to take a capture from it that will be saved automatically to the Pics folder in the KC7 folder. Or you can transfer the picture file from your phone or camera to the Pics folder in the KC7 folder. Then click Add File to navigate to that folder, select the pet, and then the picture will appear here. The pet picture is available for quick identification of the pet, and it will also appear, if selected, on certain documents such as report cards, invoices, and kennel cards. You can remove the image from the pet card by clicking Remove Image. Below the pet picture information, we have the options to mark a pet as inactive, deceased, or declawed. Marking a pet inactive will remove the pet from the Client Explorer. However, if we go back to the customer card and go under Pets, the pet still exists in the system and will be listed on the customer card, color-coded as inactive. To make a pet active again, simply uncheck the inactive box. If the pet is marked as deceased, we will have the option to remove future appointments for the pet marked as deceased. And the pet will show in the pet section of the customer card, but color-coded as deceased. In the system options, you will have the option whether to show the pet on the client list with the light bulb dimmed, indicating it is deceased, or to remove it from the client list, but still have it remain in the system, just as with the inactive option. The option to mark the pet as declawed is just an indicator on the pet card that you can use for reference as to whether or not the pet was declawed. Below that, we have a services box. Here we can check services that we consider primary services for this pet. These selected services are here for reference on the pet card and are also utilized if we go to the Reports tab and under the List section, run the list Pets by Service. This will print a list of all pets for services based on the services selected here on the pet card. In the middle of the pet card, we have a number of blades that will take us to different sections of the pet card for further information. At the top, we have the Notes section. Under the main tab of the Notes section, we have a general text box to enter any kind of notes you want to save for the pet. These notes can be printed for future reference. We have the option to enter a warning for a pet. If a warning is entered for a pet, by entering the text for the warning in the warning field and then saving, there will be an alert attached to this pet. If we close the pet card, we will notice that the pet's name is now in red in the Client Explorer, and whenever we go to open this pet, the warning will appear in a prompt. This will also appear when creating reservations for this pet. To remove a warning, simply erase the text from the warning field. If you're using the online reservation system, the OLR ID field is where you will enter the pet's OLR ID, which we usually recommend being the pet's name. If you are recording pet microchip information, we have the option here to enter the microchip ID, the microchip maker, and if the pet has a license, we can enter the pet's license number. If your facility picks up and or delivers pets, and you charge for those services, you can enter the rates for the pet individually here. This is one of many areas in the system where we can enter a default rate for a pet that will override the default rate in the system. So if you have a rate for pickup and delivery set up elsewhere in the system, but this pet gets a specific rate, you can enter the rate here, and that rate will override the rate in the system. Below that, we have the option to transfer pet to different owner. Clicking this will bring up a field where we can choose the pet by searching for a new customer and then transferring this pet's ownership over to the new customer in Kennel Connection. The next tab in the Notes section is Additional Notes. This is an area where we can enter individual dated notes. These notes will be saved in the Additional Notes section, and we can print those notes out for future reference. The next tab is for Report Cards. Report cards can be created from the schedule for individual reservations, indicating the pet's performance, behavior, or appearance during the stay. Those report cards will be saved on the pet card under the Report Cards tab, where they can be opened for future reference, and they can also be emailed directly to the customer. As you can see here, we have one of the options to include the pet's photo on the report card. And then below the report card section, just like the client card, we have the option to attach emojis to the pet's name on the client list. If one of these emojis is selected for the pet, it will replace the light bulb next to the pet's name. Next, we have the Documents tab. Just like the pet pictures, we can choose digital documents by saving them in the KC Docs folder in the Kennel Connection 7 folder, then going to the KC7 folder and selecting the document. Once that document is selected, its name will appear in the document field, and clicking Open will open that document in the program suited for that document's file type. To remove a document from the Documents tab, just click the Clear button. Finally, under the Notes section, we have Appointment Notes. In the Appointment Notes section, we can enter notes for modules that will appear when creating a reservation for this pet. Clicking Add Note will bring open the new Appointment Note screen. We can choose which appointments this note will be added to. Enter the text for the note, and then save the note. The list will indicate which module the note is created for and show the text of the note. Below that, we have a listing of no-shows, canceled, and deleted reservations. When reservations for a pet are marked as no-show, canceled, or deleted, they will be displayed in this field here. Choose the month and the year, and you can choose to show a specific type. Next, we have the Vaccinations section. Vaccinations are set up in the List section of Kennel Connection 7. They can be marked for dogs or cats, and they can also be set up as a default vaccination. Default vaccinations will automatically appear on any pet card created and will be highlighted purple. When setting up vaccinations in the List section, you can also choose the duration of the vaccination, so entering the vaccination date will automatically calculate the expiration date. While that is added for your convenience, you do not need to use that duration with the vaccination date. If you wish, you can skip that and just enter the expiration date. If a pet is exempt from a vaccination, you can prevent vaccination warnings from appearing in the system for that pet for that vaccine by checking the exempt box next to it. Vaccinations is another area where we can type in a vaccination as well by typing the first letter and selecting it from the drop-down. Or we can type in a new vaccine, and that will be added to the list section. When entering multiple pets, we can use the Get from Other Family Pets option. This will allow us to transfer vaccinations and vaccination dates automatically from one pet to another if they were all vaccinated with the same vaccines at the same time. We can copy vaccination dates or expiration dates. And we also have the option to print the list of vaccines for this pet. Next, we have sections for each module in Kennel Connection 7, starting with boarding and working our way through to special services. The module sections are very similar, but will have different options based on the module. For boarding, we can see on the left a list of all boarding dates for the pet. This will list all reservations for the pet in the boarding schedule, past, present, or future. It will be color-coded if they are waitlist booking, if they are a resident training, and if they are checked out. On the right, we have an option to enter boarding notes for this pet. In the middle, you'll see icons for creating a boarding appointment directly from the pet card, for modifying the selected boarding appointment on the left, for deleting the selected boarding appointment on the left, and for checking out the selected boarding appointment on the left. Below that on the left, we have the instructions box. When selecting reservations above, this will show the instructions listed on that reservation. And below that, we'll have the option to email future appointments directly to the customer or to print appointments from the pet card's boarding section. When printing the appointment list, you'll be given the option to choose the date range of the appointments printed. To the right of that section, we have default items. In this case, we can set a default boarding rate to override any system boarding rates. We can choose a default run size to be applied automatically when creating a reservation, and even a default run number to apply as well. All default items entered here will apply automatically when creating a reservation. However, once they are applied at the creation of the reservation, you can modify them, so you are not stuck with these settings if you enter them as a default item. Below that, we have a boarding warning. This is a warning that will appear only when creating a boarding reservation for the pet. It will not appear when opening the pet or creating a reservation in a different module. To the right of that, we have the option on whether or not to issue reminders for the reservations for this pet. Automatic reminders and manually created reminders for modules in Kennel Connection can be turned off for specific pets using this option. And then below that, we have the option to assign a boarding grade to the pet and a list of issues that this pet might have. Moving on to grooming, you'll see a very similar setup. Once again, on the left at the top, we have grooming dates. This will list all reservations for this pet. We have the option to add, modify, or delete reservations, to check reservations in or out, to create reoccurring appointments for a grooming pet, to print the history of this pet, or to print out the pet exam. And to the right, groom notes that can be transferred to the grooming reservation when it's created. Below the grooming dates on the left, again, we have a box that will show the instructions from the grooming reservation selected. To the right, we have default bath, groom, nails, and other rates and groomers. choosing defaults that will be applied automatically when that reservation is created. Once again, we can email future appointments or print an appointment list. Then we have grooming warnings that will appear only when creating a grooming reservation for the pet. Then at the bottom, we have settings for grooming reminders. In Kennel Connection 7, you have the option to send reminders to customers that they need to schedule a new appointment for their pet. This will be based on their grooming reminder interval. A common interval is 6 weeks. And then if we have the pet set for yes to issue reminders, when the grooming reminder report is run, if this pet's interval, meaning the weeks from its last grooming appointment, fall within the date range of the reminder list, the customer will be sent a reminder that they should be creating a new reservation for their pet in the date range selected. And then finally, we have the duration option. The duration is how long a grooming takes for this pet. You can set a default in the system options section for all pets in the system, but you can also set a duration for an individual pet if it is known that this pet will take longer when creating reservations. Next, we have the training section. Once again, we have all training reservations on the left with instructions for them showing below, color coding for those training dates based on whether it's a wait list or if it's checked out. We can add, modify, or delete training reservations from here. We can add a training class from here. And we can enter or view pet training info. This is general info regarding the pet training, behavior, and corrective actions taken. Training notes that can be added to the reservation when created can be entered here. Once again, we have the option to email future appointments or to print an appointment list. We can enter a training warning to appear when creating a training reservation for this pet, and the setting of issue reminders, yes or no. Next, we have the daycare section. As we go to the daycare section, you'll see a pattern forming. We have the reservation schedule on the left, color coding, the option to add, modify, or delete reservations, daycare notes that can be transferred to the reservation, default section where we can set a default daycare type, default daycare rates. We can also choose whether the pet has been approved for daycare and assign a daycare grade. We can set issue reminders to yes or no. We can enter a daycare warning to appear when a reservation is created for this pet on the daycare schedule. And we can email future appointments or print an appointment list. In the pet sitting section, we have a list of pet sitting reservations, the ability to add, modify, or delete these reservations. We can print an appointment list or email the future appointment list, and we can set a pet sitting warning. Under special services, just as in pet sitting, we have the list of reservations, the option to add, modify, or delete, to print the appointment list or email future appointments, color coding for the reservations, the option to issue reminders turned on or off, and a special services warning that will appear when creating a reservation for the pet in special services. Beyond the modules now, we have two more areas. First, we have the services section. Here is where we can set up default services for the pet that will be applied automatically when creating reservations for the pet. These are feedings, medications, and exercises. These are created in the list section. You choose the feeding, for example, whether this feeding occurs in the morning, afternoon, or evening, the quantity, The rotation, meaning 1 would equal every day, 2 would equal every other day, 3 would equal every third day, etc. If you do not enter a rotation number, the system will default to 1 for every day. And a rate. If you are charging for this service, you can choose to have that rate applied for the service. Also, if you want to add a new feeding on the fly, you can simply type in the new feeding option. Once you tab over, that will be added to the list section. And as you'll see here, it is now an option in the drop-down menu for feedings. And we can delete services by using the delete option. Medication and exercises are set up the exact same way. And once again, services added here will be added automatically when creating a reservation for a pet. Finally, we have the Packages tab on the pet card. This is where packages can be saved for the pet. Packages can be sold in Kennel Connection 7 to the pet card or the client card. The difference being a package on the pet card is only good for that pet, while the package on the client card is good for any pets that client owns. To add a package, we can click the Add button. This will open up a package-only invoice. Select the package or packages you want to sell for this pet. Once the invoice is saved, regardless of whether or not payment is taken on it, the package and the number of days or units will be applied to the Packages tab. By selecting a package and clicking Modify, we can modify the number of days left on the package as long as it does not exceed the original amount sold. And we can also add or modify an expiration date. We can delete packages by selecting them and clicking the Delete button. And the Reload option will allow us to add additional days to a current package on the pet card. Select the package and click Reload. It will open up an invoice with that package selected already. You can change the quantity if needed. Once that invoice is saved, additional package days are applied directly to this package. Each package listed in the Packages tab will show the package code, the full description, the original number of days this package is for, how many package days are left on this pet's package, and the expiration date, if any. This has been the Kennel Connection 7 training video on pet cards. If you have any further questions regarding recording, maintaining, or tracking information on the pet card in Kennel Connection, please feel free to contact the Blue Crystal Software Training Department by either emailing training@bluecrystalsoftware.com or calling 888-486-4343, extension 307.